let's start with the new topic. So far we discussed questions related to finding volume of different combination of solids. Now we are going to discuss something else. Suppose we have 3 cubes and we are going to melt it, and we are going to make one more cube out of that. So what will be the volume or dimension of this cube that we want to find it? So we are converting, right, from one 3D shape to another one. Let's start discussing problems related to that. Let's start with the first question. Let's read the question. 3 metallic solid cubes whose edges are 3 cm, 4 cm and 5 cm. Okay, so first is 3 cm, next is 4 cm, okay, and the last one is 5 centimeter. Now that's done, are melted and formed into a single cube. Okay, so we are melting these 3 cubes, we melt it and form one more cube. Find the edge of the cube so formed. Okay, now whenever melting things come into picture, remember one thing, we are going to discuss about the volume, not about the surface area. Volume is going to remain same. So how will I start? First of all, I will get the total volume, right? Volume of this plus volume of second cube, volume of third cube. Done? Then I will add them. So why am I going to add it? Because it is written we are going to melt and then we are going to form one cube. So we are going to get the volume of each of the cube. Then we are going to add. Why we are adding? Because we want to combine them, right? So we will add the volume of all 3 cubes. Then we will get some number. That will be the volume of this cube. Then we need to find the length of the edge. Simple, we have volume, so we can take cube root and find the length of the edge. So let's start. So volume of, let's start with volume of total volume. Let's start with the total volume. So total volume is equal to, let's start with this 3. So we have 3, 4 and 5. So let's start with 3 cube first of all. Why have I done 3 cube? Can you think of that? Because the reason behind that, I am just using the volume formula for cube, which is L cube. So 3 cube, 4 cube and 5 cube. Simple it is, nothing to worry about that, simple logic. Then go for the 4 cube. And the last one is what? We have 5 cube. So 5 cube it is. Simple. Now let's simplify and get the answer. So here it will be 125. Then it is here 64. And the last is 27. Don't write 3 3s are 9, 4 3s are 12 and 5 3s are 15, right? Do some other mistake, not that one. So let's add it, simple addition. Okay, so let's do the addition and we'll get the volume of this resultant cube. That is, let's start with 5 and 4. Okay, 5 and 4 will give you 9, 9 and 7 will give you 6 and 1 carryover. So 3 and 6, 9, 9 and 2 what? 11. So 1 carryover, 1 and 1, 2. That's the volume of this cube, 216 centimeter cube. Then now I want to find the length of the edge. Length of the edge means what? This I want to find. Let's say this is x. I want to find it. So what is the volume? If I want to apply the formula, can I say that volume of this cube is x cube, right? And I have the value as well. So I'm going to write x cube is equal to 216. So let's take the cube root on both sides. Cube root here as well. So x is equal to here 6. Simple, we remember the cube root, that will help you to get the answer. So length of edge of the cube so formed is what? 6 centimeter, right? We are going to combine all these 3 cubes into one only. So this is how we get the length of this resultant cube. Let's recall the step one more time. We have 3 cubes, 3 centimeter, 4 centimeter, 5 centimeter. We are melting and combining into one cube. So for that, whenever melting comes into picture, remember we are going to deal with the volume. So we find volume of each of the cube one by one, then add, because we are going to combine it, remember. So we get one volume, that is the volume of resultant cube so formed, right? That's it. You take the cube root and you will get the value of the length of the cube so formed, which is 6 centimeter. Let's discuss one very basic question that you must have learned in grade 8, grade 9 as well, right? So let's read the question. Find the number of cubes of side 2 centimeter which can be cut from side 6 centimeter, right? So suppose you have one cube of side 6 centimeter. Let's label it. So let's say 6 centimeter is the side here, and you are cutting few cubes out of this. Let's say this one. Yes, kind of, not exactly, but kind of. And that side is of 2 centimeter. Let's say this is just an example I have drawn for understanding, obviously. So how many we can cut from this bigger one? That we need to count it, right? So this is the bigger one and we want to cut of this size, which is 2 centimeters. So how many we can cut? How many cubes can we form, right? Remember, this is the relationship with the volume, not with the surface area. So don't count the surface area, then you relate it. No, you are not going to get it. The reason behind that is we have matter with us, let's say wooden block, right? And if you are cutting it, so if you are cutting it, you are removing the volume out of that. So remember, when we cut the wooden part out of this cube, just a wooden block, right, for understanding. So when we cut it, remember, the piece will be removed out of it. Volume will be removed indirectly, remember. So when we talk about cutting this cube with smaller cubes, which is of size 2 centimeter, so there can be many, right? Many cubes can be formed. We want to identify how many can be formed. That's the important question, right? That's a very basic question it is. You must have done in grade 8 or 9. You must have an idea as well about the answer, but though let's repeat one time. So what is the basic equation that we can write? So I can write that, let's say this is the bigger cube, right? And this one, smaller one. So what I'm going to do, right? There are so many of this one, so I'm multiplying with the n. Okay, volume of this cube, right, is equal to volume of smaller cube multiplied by n, because this small cube will not be justify the volume of this bigger one. So there can be many of this size, right? There can be many of this size which we can fit into this. So what I'm going to write the basic equation, which is volume of bigger cube, volume of bigger cube is equal to volume of smaller cube multiply, remember, multiply by n. N is a number of cube. There can be so many cubes like that. Okay, so let's start with this one. So let's substitute the value, which is here volume of bigger cube, which is 6 cube, volume of smaller cube, which is 2 cube into n. Now we want to find the value of n. It is written how many cubes can we find. So let's take this in denominator, right? So 6 cube, can I write 6 into 6 into 6, and here 2 into 2 into 2 is equal to n. So 2, 2, 2, here cancel, 3, 3, 3. This is the beauty of it, right? You will get in terms of cube only. So 27 is equal to n. Now what does this number 27 mean? That we need to understand. So if I want to equate this volume of this bigger cube and volume of this smaller cube, how many smaller cubes do I need? I need 27 smaller cubes, then volume of this one and those 27 smaller cube will be equal, right? So this is the very basic idea. Generally students only do this one, 6 cube over 2 cube, and do cancellation and get the answer. That is absolutely correct as well. My purpose was to explain from the viewpoint of volume. So this is how we find the number of cubes when there are two cubes. One is of the bigger size and another is of the smaller size.